So today we're going to divide. And so, I know, so you like that because we already know how to do it, okay? So, if we're dividing 24 by 6, those of us that know our multiplication facts know the answer is 4. Those of us that don't, we would take 24 divided by 6 in the calculator and get 4. I did. That's okay. I'm okay with that. So that's a simple one. If I was doing a longer one, how do I start this? Right. So even though I don't write it down, this is what I did. I did 25 divided by 4, right? Isn't that what I did? And so 25 divided by 4 is what? 6. Oh, yeah, you're right. Whew, I thought, wait, no, that's too many. Yeah, you're right. So that gives me 24. And it gives me a positive 24, but what do? I subtract it. So I change this positive to a minus, don't I? And I subtract, and I get a 1. And so I move the 3 down. And so then I take this, and I'm dividing it by 4, right? And I don't write it down, but this is what we're doing. 13 divided by 4, and that gives us 3. And so 4 times 3 is 12. It's positive, but what do? Subtract, and I get a remainder of 1. We could, but I'm just saying this is a remainder because what we're going to do is we're going to do it now with x's, all right? So we're going to use the exact same steps. Nothing is going to change. So I'm positive. Okay, so that's a lot of words. Let's just go to the example. Is this what yours starts with? Okay. So this is how this is going to work. Are you ready? So pay attention. So this part goes underneath here, and this goes out here. So the question is, determine whether x plus 4 is a factor of each polynomial. So this is the polynomial, and I want to know if this is a factor of this. And so the answer to that is yes, it's a factor if the remainder is 0. If we get a remainder, it's not a factor. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this x squared, and I'm going to divide it by x. That's how we started the other problem. We're going to do the same thing. X squared divided by x. And what is x squared divided by x? It's just an x, right? So that x is going to go right here above the 6x. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take x times x, and that gives me x squared. X times a positive 4 gives me 4x. But what I want to do now is I have to subtract, correct? So when we subtracted before, though, it was only one number. I have 2 this time. So I have to make this a negative and this a negative. So I changed them from positive to negative. So if it started negative, what would I change it to? Positive. So let's go ahead and subtract then. What happens with these? They cancel. 6x minus 4x is 2x. And what's your next step? Bring down the 8. So it's just like the other one. So next what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the 2x and I'm going to divide it by this number right here, which is x. So 2x divided by x is 2. And the 2 is positive, right? If it doesn't have a sign, it's positive. So when I write it up here, it's plus 2. So now I'm going to take the 2 times the x. That gives me the 2x. The 2 times the 4 gives me 8. But what do I do at this step? I have to switch the signs. So it's minus and minus. So my remainder is So yes, that is a factor of that polynomial. Correct. And so when we get a 0 here, when you get a 0 here, what this is telling me is x plus 4 is a factor of this. So x plus 4 times x plus 2, if you multiply those, would equal that. So really what I did is I did my a times c. I have 8 and 6, 4 and 2. Okay, you can't. So they're going to get harder. They're going to get harder, right? They're going to get harder. Okay, can you do it on the next one? No. All right, we're going to do it again. So this time, this goes underneath the divisor, and we're going to divide by x plus 4. Squared. So we're going to, okay, also before I forget, you see how this goes in order? The highest one is 3, and then I have a 2, and then a 1, and then a constant. When you're doing this, for instance, if this was missing, you have to fill it in with the 0x squared. You have to have one of everything when you do it, okay? So I'm going to start with x to the third and divide by x. That gives me x squared, so it goes right here. So that's why you always have to fill in if there's a blank. Correct. Yes. So x to the second times x gives me x to the third. 4 times x squared gives me, but now what do I change the signs to? So the x to the third cancels out. This gives me minus x squared. I have to bring down the minus 6x. So this time, what's your first term? I have negative x squared divided by x. So negative x squared divided by x is, but it's negative, right? So where does that go? Above the 6x, so minus x right there. So I'm going to take minus x times x, and that gives me minus x squared, minus x times 4, minus 4x. But what do I have to do at this step now? Got to change the signs. So now the minus, they both change to plus. So the x squareds cancel out, and I have minus 6x plus 4x, negative 2x, and what do I have to bring down? Bring down the negative 7. So I take the first term, minus 2x, and I'm dividing by the first term, which is x, so I get minus 2. So that goes above the 7. And now we're going to multiply. Negative 2 times the x, negative 2, I'm going to change the signs. So the negative changes, these change to plus. It leaves me with a 1. So this is how we're going to watch. So this is the remainder, right? Because we ran out of numbers now. So this is how you're going to write it. We're going to have this. This is what we divided by. And so you put the 1 over what we divided. Yes. Negative 2 times 4 gives me 8, and then we had to change the signs.
You have to, whatever number you just put up there, you have to multiply it by your x.
By both things. By both things.
And that's how you're going to.
Okay. Are you lost, or you're very? Okay, let's try one more, okay? Okay. So take a look. The very first thing you're going to look at when you're looking at this, are all of the numbers filled in? What am I missing? X. So you have to have a 0x when you write that down. So I'm going to start with this. 2x to the third minus 9x squared plus 0x plus 15. And I'm dividing by 2x minus 5. So I'm going to start with the first term divided by the first term. So I'm going to have 2x to the third divided by 2x. And what is that? X squared. So where does that go? Above the 9x squared. So I'm going to put x squared. Okay, so next I'm going to take x squared times 2x. And I get 2x to the third. Then I'm going to take x squared times minus 5. Right? Do you see that? Trace, yes, no? Yes? Squared times 1 is cubed. But it's x squared divided times x is x to the third. So it goes under the third. Okay? So then x squared times the minus 5 gives me minus 5x squared. And what do we have to do? Yes and no. Okay, so I have to change the signs, right? Because I'm going to subtract at this step. Is this what's confusing you, Trace? Changing the signs? This is okay? All right. So I'm going to change the signs, correct? Because I have to subtract at this step. So these cancel out, and here I have minus 4x squared. And what do I have to bring down? Bring down the 0x. Then I'm going to take this term, this is the first term, and I'm going to divide it by 2x. So it's minus 4x squared divided by 2x. It is. So what she asks is it negative 2x? Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. X squared divided by x is x. And where do I put this? Above the 0x. So we have minus 2x. So now I'm going to have negative 2x times 2x gives me negative 4x squared. Negative 2x times negative 5, it's a positive 10x, right? But now I'm going to subtract. So when I subtract, this becomes positive and this becomes negative. So my x squareds cancel out, and now I bring down negative 10x. Bring down the 15. And so the last step, I'm going to take the minus 10x and divide it by 2x. It's just negative 5, correct? So the negative 5 goes right here. Negative 5 times 2x gives me negative 10x. Negative 5 times negative 5 gives me positive 25. But now you subtract. So this is plus and this is minus. So these cancel out and it leaves me with a negative 10. So my answer is going to be 2x minus 5, x squared minus 2x minus 5, and then you're going to put plus a negative 10 over 2x minus 5. So whatever is here goes on the bottom here. It's always plus here, and you put the sign up here. It's either a positive or negative. It is. Well, plus this. It's plus this. Better? Better? Okay, so this is the exact same thing, guys. So we're doing 6x to the third minus 35x squared minus 41x plus 210, and it's divided by x minus 6. So this times this, you're right. This gives me a positive, but then when I subtract, I have to change the signs. So that became a positive and that became a negative. So those cancel out then. Okay, any questions? You got it? Alexis, you got it? All right. Right here, because this one just asked for the dimensions. This is all it wanted right here. So if it asks you to write out the whole thing, you would have to put that in front.
So what in front?
This. Like you'd do the parentheses then. Right. For that one, it was just the answer.